Guys, welcome to the live stream. We've got Bruce Breger here and Ishmaeli as always. So welcome to the program, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
We need a name for the show. It's not called the program.
Well,
This
didn't
is
you
more.
guys already have a show? I thought you already named it.
We just can't
Well,
agree on a name. We've got two marketing guys just butting heads over here.
over a name, right? So maybe the audience can help us out. We need a name for the show. This is our third episode, and it'll be awesome to have some sort of branding behind it.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, what have you called it for the first two shows?
It's just Q&A with Brady and Ish.
I try to keep it simple. I'm not about the flashy, names. Well, I guess it should be more about names if I'm in domain space. To me, it's all about the content.
That
And the
part.
name is sort of
You got to brand this.
got to work on the branding, but that's okay. We're chugging along here. So anyway, guys, we've got some good content lined up for you today. Bruce here is an expert outbounder, similar to Ish in their styles, and we're going to pick his brain on expertise in domaining, as well as his style and techniques when it comes to outbounding. And we've also got some other segments later. We're going to go through some tweets of the week and news in domaining. And Bruce, it sounds like I think that was Ish, maybe. You've
Yeah,
got
I'm
the
sorry. I was just sharing the space.
Okay, just making sure that was gone. And then later we'll do some audience participation and you guys can submit some portfolios that we can go through live on air. Drop any domains that you want us to review and give our critiques of in the chat on X, and we will go through them live a little bit later. So without further ado, one last disclaimer. It is $5.com Friday at Unstoppable. So drop on over, get up to 100 .coms for only $5 each. And that is live for the next 13 hours. That's on Eastern time. So yeah, come on by. We've also got $5.50.com transfers in and $1 XYZ Wednesdays. So that happens every week. No promo code required. Just hop on over and you'll see that in your cart. Cool. So let's get this thing rolling. Bruce, you want to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into domaining and what your current hustle is?
Absolutely. I got into domaining. Well, before domaining, I had a real estate lead generation company, and I helped out realtors for many years. And then when the market crashed, during that time, I bought and sold a few domains here and there. And my working with realtors all over the country, I would study their websites every day, and I would see what domains they had. And it didn't, it wasn't working for me to see what they had to know what they could have. And I really researched names for them. And I sold some names to realtors at that point, but I was still dealing with my lead generation company. When the market crashed in 2008, I said, I'm going to just get right into domaining. I went into domaining full time, probably, I think in late 2009.
At that point, you had a decent portfolio.
No, I just started buying a few names here and selling them. And after I sold those, I went out and bought a few more, and it was just add on and add on. And then I do not have a big portfolio. I never have, because what I'm doing, I'm churning all the time. I work, my specialty, of course, is outbound marketing. So I'll go to, research a bunch of names that I'm looking to buy that I know that I have a good chance of selling. I'll buy those. If I, after 5 emails, if I can't sell those, I'll put those aside for the time being. But with my outbound marketing, I get very structured on that today. And I've been doing it for the last 16 years. And that's where my specialty is. A lot of people are into the high end names. I'm into the finding the names at good deals, finding the perfect person to sell it to. I deal a lot with real estate and law. So those are the two niches that I like going to. They're easy to work with. Well, realtors are easy to work with, and lawyers, even though they're, sometimes hard to get a hold of, I find it easy to get a hold of them even on weekends, because that's when they're not in court. That's when they're not on phone calls with their clients. And it's worked for me. It's worked for me, with the certain price points, because there might be people that might be listening to this show that'll say, you sell domains for those prices. If I get a great deal on the buy side, I know that I could sell it for, my sweet spot's anywhere between $400 to $1,000 for a name.
Mm.
And, there's people in this industry that will say, you're out of your mind. You should be selling it for, every name's $100,000. Well, we know who says that. Probably the best domainer out there, but that's not how I do it. I do it. I'll find a name that I know I can sell. And when I look for names, I know I'm going all over the place, but when I look for names, I want to make sure that I have at least 50, at least 50 people that I can go to try to sell that name. If I don't have that, I'm not going to go to that person. So I'll do so much researching on cities. Is this city great for real estate? Is this city great for law? It might be a top city in the US, but it might be a difficult one to sell. Me, the hardest one I've ever had to sell was to real estate in New York City. Absolutely 100% impossible because they deal with the big firms like Cochran's or Cork, however that is. But I just have an impossible time to try to sell a real estate name in New York City. But I know that Florida is a great place to sell. Texas is a great place to sell. Arizona is a great place to sell. California is okay. It's not one of the top ones, but what I've learned over the last 16 years is I know where I should go and where I shouldn't go. And that's when I'm searching names, there might be a great name out there, a great name in real estate for an area that I know that I can't sell. I'll pass that by. I'm looking to buy a name that I know that I have a good chance of selling. Building up the database of clients that I've had over the last 16 years, it helps me out. I could find a name and know I'm going to call that client right now. And most likely I will get that sale.
Mm.
So again, I know my sweet spot. I know what my limits are, what I can do. And that doesn't mean that I don't have the high-end names. I do have some high-end names, but I hire people, the big brokers, to sell them. My biggest sale that I've had was homefinance.com. That's very fortunate. I had Kate Buckley and Todd to sell that name, and they did a great job selling that name. And that was a 6-figure sale. So even though I sell names between 1,000, I put my big names in the hands of the people who are specialized in that. I know my limits.
Yeah. I lost a lot of money on finance back in the day, 2020 bubble. So I helped funnel all of my life savings to you. So you're welcome, Bruce.
Thank you.
Gambling on that Ponzi scheme. But anyway, like, yeah, this is a very interesting style of domaining that you don't hear about very often. It's very principled. It's probably the closest thing to like day trading that you can get in domaining space. Like it's very risk off. It's very, methodical, and you know exactly where you're going with that domain as soon as you buy it. As opposed to this like buying a dream that a lot of people do, and it's very easy to get into when people are just starting out. They're like, oh, I can hand rag all these things. Well, if you're hand ragging it, chances are there's not the right person for that domain, or otherwise it would already be registered. Unless you've done your research and you've like really zeroed in on exactly who that should belong to. And it's very
Well,
like,
it is the research because
yeah,
when I'm looking to buy a name in the place that I'm going to, let's say it's real estate in Dallas, I'm studying the realtors. I'm up every morning at 5 a.m. And from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm researching names. And then I'll start my outbound marketing. And this is daily. This is Monday through Sunday.
yeah.
So I'll do my outbound marketing on the East Coast starting at 9 o'clock. So I do 9 to 11. Then I'll look at the auctions and look at the drops and expires of what's coming out. And then I'll
Walk us
do
through
from,
that. Walk
I'm
us through
sorry.
like, walk us through exactly what you're looking at.
Well, as far as drops and auctions and all that,
Yeah, yeah. What are your heuristics that you're looking for? I'm getting a lot of feedback from someone here.
it's not my phone. My phones are off right now. I'm looking for certain keywords for real estate and certain keywords for law. And, if I find those keywords with the cities that match up, you know, I'm going to buy it. Do I buy some generic law names? Yes. I bought, I think Ish sold a big one with Lemon Law Lawyers. You sold that one, Ish? That was a
Right.
great one. I bought probate law lawyers or lawyer about 5 months ago. And, I have no urgency to sell it. If something comes along, that'll work out great.
What's amazing about what Bruce is doing is he's carved out a niche. And to me, that's actually a great approach. Like when you understand the characteristics of the keywords that you're searching for. And the cool thing about domain is they have an omnipresence in every industry. There's no industry on earth that can't use a good domain name. So, some other people have carved out niches with, things that are trending right now, like AI, whether it's with the CCTLD, or some people, were doing the spaces yesterday. Someone said, I focus on finding names for startups, right? And I want to be at this threshold. So, what helps here is, if you listen to what Bruce said, his background was related to what he's doing right now. So it's very important that people find a niche that's close to what they do IRL. Like, if you're an attorney, you have an edge. If you are in real estate, you have that edge, right? If you're in healthcare, look for healthcare related names. You understand that vertical better than an outsider. And I'm learning this too because I'm all over the place with mine. I have real estate names. I've sold real estate names. I've sold finance names. I've sold legal names. But honestly, there's a beauty and a strength in focusing on one niche. It'll help you in your acquisition and also, in terms of like Wutsu outbound names too as well, because you understand the space of the region better than most other people.
But not just that, which real estate is probably my biggest niche of where I sell to. If you believe in that name and you believe in the value of what that name can do, and you can talk to a realtor with their talk, you're going to sell the name.
So when you say believing in the name, do you is it just based off the aesthetics of the name or the data, like the search volume, the cost per click? Do you add that in that equation?
All of it. But I also
Good.
look at, people laughed at me when Las Vegas homes for sale, 5 words, 5 keywords. You're going to sell 5 words. Yeah. Las Vegas homes for sale.
Very descriptive.
Yeah. And I sold that for the upper 4 figures. I sold that, I think 7 years ago, but I was
Let me
very,
ask you, with a name like that, why is a realtor buying that name? Maybe Brady can put that name up and let's see what they've done with it. Like, what is the use case for Las Vegas homes for sale? Is it like most realtors right now, they're using platforms like Zillow, obviously the MLS. Like, why would a realtor purchase a domain name, regardless of the length
great keyword name and, a lot of keyword searches on those terms.
of visibility? Correct.
And again, trust. If you have a name, realestate.com, homes.com, condos.com, homes for sale, properties, property, you know, those are the best keywords. And if you have one of those names, when someone's searching for it, like if you go look for homes, and I did this before I even started, I went to about, I think like 20 of my friends. I said, if you're looking for a home in Las Vegas, what would you search? So I got feedback from them, and that's how I brought that into my business. And I do that today still. I mean, when I was in Australia, if you're looking for this, what would you search? I ask everybody that. It helps me out when I'm searching for names myself to buy to sell.
I think another thing is like a lot of these realtors and brokers underestimate how many people search for them, online. Most of them limit that to just their social media, which is also very important, by the way.
Absolutely.
They sort of like dismiss the value of owning a name like Las Vegas homes for sale to have that distinctive advantage in a very competitive region or area, right? So I think a good domain name for a realtor or an attorney makes them stand out, right?
I'll
Because
tell you
domain
something. A lot of my clients will use these names that I sell them and link them to their Facebook, to their LinkedIn,
as a
to
redirect.
Instagram. And they still have their main site that they use, but they'll put that on one of their social media pages.
Yeah, it's all branded.
Right. And if a consumer sees, I'm typing in Las Vegas homes for sale. And if I'm seeing that come up right there in one of the results for a realtor, I'm going to click on that link because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a visibility business. Go ahead, Brady.
So when you're looking to outbound these domains and you're like vetting all of the different leads that you'll have, do you have any thresholds? So like, okay, I need to have like 3 like 80th percentile leads in order for me to risk buying this domain. Or if you see like, I don't know, some low powered businesses, maybe you're like, no, those guys aren't really going to buy a domain. Some people aren't going to spend the money, even if it's, less than $1,000, like a lot of these sales are. So how do you vet the leads and understand like the quality of the lead for the particular domain?
Well, I'm sending out to, if there's 100 leads or agents that I can send to in Las Vegas, which is a lot more in Las Vegas, I'm sending out to everybody. But I sort of have a feel, you know, who's going to come back to me and ask for the price of the domain if I don't have it listed. I love selling to the small boutique style real estate companies because they're more apt to buy to compete with the big boys, the Remax, the EXP, the Century 21, the Caldwell Bankers. The small firms are usually the ones that are going to buy that name to compete with the bigger ones.
Yeah, they're hungrier.
Mm-hmm.
You have success outbounding to like large corporations. I feel like those guys are, there's a huge chain of command, hard to get a hold of the right person to make the decision. How do you think about like larger corporations and so on?
That's a great question. Most law and real estate names I've sold to have been smaller firms. I don't think I've sold one law domain to a bigger firm. It might be, a firm that might have two or three attorneys in it. Those are the ones that I focus on because those are the ones that are more apt that are going to buy that name because they need it. The bigger firms, you know, they don't need it. They don't. And they're probably not going to buy it. The smaller firms are going to need it. So they're going to have that, like you said, the visibility and to have a great name.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ish, I'm still getting some feedback from you. I don't know if you've got like another tab or phone going. But yeah, so Bruce, let's zoom out a little bit again and just like let's talk about the high level process again. So you're vetting, you're like looking at leads and keywords before you buy the domain. Then once you buy the domain, like what's your outbounding process like? Or if you're using particular tools to find these leads, are you using AI tools? Are you using like Google search, LinkedIn? Like tell me what your stack looks like and what your process is.
The tools I use to really gather leads, Google and GMap extractor that will give me, I'll type in, I need Dallas divorce lawyers, and I'll get a whole list of all the Dallas divorce lawyers, which I could just do if I want to write to Google. The other way just prints them all out for me. So it's really the same thing. And I'll just go down the list and, find out which lead. I'm very outdated as far as because I send out my emails one by one. I don't get a bunch together and send them out, tools like that. Although right now I am researching two AI tools for email marketing that I have meetings with this week that will be able to send out up to 10,000 emails a day. Not that I have that many to send out, but it will streamline what I'm doing. That will free me up to research more names and outbound more names. So when I get a lead in, I'll go to GMap extractor and let's say it's again, Dallas divorce lawyers. I'll type in Dallas divorce lawyers. It'll give me a printout of all the divorce lawyers in Dallas. And I'll just start going through that list and emailing them one by one.
I
Yeah.
think
But
that's
let me take a step back.
you
Let me take
call
a
it
step
old
back.
school, but I think it's actually very, very powerful because one, your deliverability is much higher, right? And you tend to be more personal when you do it that way. You know what I mean? You're not. It doesn't come up as hello first name like that would
No,
never.
I mean, I've really refined my email. I
Right,
have, and with AI, I will work on my email many, many times and give different prompts, make them really short, maybe two sentences. I have some that are like three paragraphs, you know, and it's really the in between that's selling the name. And do I put the price in? Do I not put the price in? Maybe the first email I don't, second email I do. So
right.
again, it's really just testing the market with A/B to figure out which one that works. If I'm lucky, I'm going to get a response back in the first email. If I'm not, might be looking at the second or third email to get a response back. But let's go back a second. Before I go to bed at night, I pick out 3 to 5 names that I'm going to market the next day. So I'm all prepared. I don't just wake up in the morning and say, okay, bam, bam, bam. I know exactly what I'm going to be marketing the night before.
Yeah.
Now, if I get a great name in that day, I say, I got to get this out. I might find a place to fit that in. And, the problem is not just with me, but most domainers is, you know, I've got, so many names I've backlogged that I've been wanting to market that I just don't have time because I keep on finding new names. I have to just focus at one point on what I have and just put the buying on hold until I, slow down the portfolio.
Yeah, there's a lot of discipline required when you're building a portfolio. And I think people need to hold themselves accountable. Like you can buy, I mean, there's an acquisition element to domain investing, and the win is in the buy, right? But you also have to follow through and make sure that your cash flow is in a good position because if you're not selling names, then you can easily be drowning in debt very shortly.
Absolutely.
It's very important that you do what Bruce is describing, like take a day or a couple of days out of the week or a couple of hours to try to create visibility for your names.
Now,
Bruce, are you renewing domains after you've outbounded them sufficiently? And what's your number of like outbound touches that where you feel like, okay, this is dead. I should just get rid of
yeah,
this
after
name.
7, I'm stopping. So I've really never renewed a name except names I know that I'm keeping for the long run. I have my list of names that are you know, my premium names that I hire the brokers to sell, that those names are, those names will be renewed. I think I always renew them maybe when I first get them up to 5 years. But the other ones that I get that I know that I'm going to be outbounding, if I can't sell them after a year, I'm dropping them. I've gotten to a point one time, and I'm sure many people have, that I went to go look for a name. God, that's a great name. I'm going to go buy it. I dropped it. It was my name that I dropped, and I ended up buying back. So, we just we get into that thing, God, who dropped that name? Oh, it was me. But so you
What a
buy it
moron.
back. But again, it's not just one thing with real estate that I found very productive. And I was taught this by somebody who just came in the business a few years ago, is text marketing, not just email. Real estate agents they love text messages. They're on their phones. It'll be a very short message with the top of that message what the domain is, so they see that right up front. And I've done very well with doing text message marketing.
And
Text messaging,
when you're doing
text
this
messages are
outreach,
very efficient. Go ahead, Brady.
yeah. Yeah, I've heard that even just like email drips using SMS gets a lot higher response rates because it's so easy to you just get like 100 emails a day, like all of us do. And it's so easy to get lost there. But yeah, so walk us through like the script that you use, if you don't mind, for SMS or the email. So are you representing yourself as the owner? Are you saying I represent the owner as a broker? Do you give stats? Do you not give stats?
All of it. All of it. Sometimes I'm the owner. Sometimes I'm representing the owner. Sometimes I'll put in the stats of how many keyword searches that the name has. Sometimes I won't. So again, it just depends on
If the stats are good and it seems like
if the stats are good, I'm putting it in
if the
there.
stats are good, you'll put it in.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Uh, if
But
they're,
if it's more niche and it's like, okay, this is just the perfect domain for this like esoteric company, then stats don't make much of a difference. It's just like
it's
a good
more
fit.
brandable, which absolutely 100%. But I will put stats in there sometimes. I would say 90% of the time I'm putting it, I own the domain. There will be a few times that I'm, representing the owner of the,
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure that makes it feel less confrontational, the
and I could
negotiation.
be in the middle of a campaign to send out. And if I sent out like 30 and I haven't gotten, again, as domainers, we want immediate gratification. We want that person to get back to us like that and buy that name. So if I'm sending out, I might go halfway through. I'll go back to ChatGPT or Grok and say, refine this email. And I'll do that for the next 30. And again, it's just seeing what works. If we don't do that, we're going to fail. So, we have to see what works. And it might work for this city, but it might not work for that city. People in Florida might not like to read an email that people in Dallas do. So again, who
Yeah.
knows?
I think you have to apply a lot of human psychology. You can't send emails to people in the West Coast at 6 o'clock, PST, right? Yeah,
That's why I have my
somebody.
schedule of when I send out the emails.
Right, right. Understanding that workflow. Bruce, I mean, this works for you, obviously. Like, you want to give us a sense of what your production is? Like, how many names do you typically sell a day, a week, or in a month? An estimate is fine.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I do. I hate giving out numbers. I never report my
I have
sales
to.
because, I do well. I'm not going to complain. I do well. I do well for what, yeah, I don't like talking about numbers.
Right. And I see someone saying, I'll focus on lawyers and real estate now. That's not the point of this. The point of this is understanding that Bruce, because he has a decade plus focusing on those niches, understands the nuances and the right approach. You coming in and saying, I'm going to do exactly what he does is missing the mark. The idea is to find what works for you. There are people that, selling names in the food industry, in the healthcare industry, in technology, or certain geos or the automobile industry. It's somewhat a disservice to yourself to think that, oh, you're just going to copy what Bruce does, because Bruce didn't just wake up. This is not an overnight success story, right? Can you elaborate on that?
There's been, like I said, there's been times I bought names I thought would be a sure sale for this area. That never worked. What the amazing thing is, we have all these chat rooms that we can go to that I belong to, that we can sell names to. And I've sold names that I might have marketed 4 or 5 times, no response. I'll go sell it for $20 just to get, my money back. And then I find out 2 months later, a person I sold it to overseas sells it for $799, which, you know what? I applaud them. Great job. I couldn't do it. They could. Maybe it was their email. Maybe they got them at the right time, at the right place. The person was in the office. You know what? I'm cheering them on. There's more than enough to go around for them to sell. And meanwhile, if I got back $20, I bought 2 other names that I'm going to go out there and try to sell. So, even though I didn't sell them, somebody ended up selling them. So that makes me, that was a good name. And that brings me back to my real estate lead generation company. If I get a real estate lead in and I gave it to 5 different realtors, I'm going to get 5 different results. Did that client want to deal with a male realtor, a female realtor? Did they want to be talked to in a soft voice and a loud voice? You have to hit that person and get that person you're trying to sell that domain to at the right time, at the right place, and get them to buy that.
So when you send out emails to a bunch of people, maybe one by one, let's say you've sent out 30 emails, you just wait for who is an efficient net, is how that works, and then you set up a call with them.
Well, I have a tracker. So I see how many times I might have opened it up. And if I see they've opened it up, 4 or 5 times in the first hour, I might send them a quick email. Any questions you have regarding this domain?
Follow up.
So, I will hit them. But when they respond back for the price, I'm not going to, I would say 90% of the time I will call them back with the price, not email them back. Because if I
You
get
don't,
them
you don't initially send out an asking price when you
50-50, I'll go sometimes yes
right,
in the email, sometimes no.
right.
I'll even
And
say, when I'm doing ChatGPT, give me an email that this real estate agent is going to be begging me for the price. And it will give me a great email to send out.
Yeah, I was discussing that yesterday with some people online that the magic words are how much. That's what you want them to say.
No,
So you,
I'll take it.
yeah, oh, I'll take it is even better.
Right.
But when someone says how much, then you're going into the beautiful phase of domain flipping, which is the negotiation, right?
Well, at
And
that
I
point,
think
I'm going to
that,
get on the phone with them because I have a better chance of selling it when I'm on the
right,
phone than if I'm going through email or text.
right. So what I was saying was like sometimes I'll write emails or I'll send out a short note to someone to try to bait them to ask how much. Like it could be like, are you interested in knowing what the price of this domain is? You know what I mean? And then they go, okay, how much? Then
Right.
that to me, that's a signal of interest. It doesn't always work, but it's a high converting approach.
I mean, there's so many approaches that's going to work. And again, it all depends on if you catch the person at the right time. Are they in the office? Are they stressed out? Are they, there's so many factors of getting them at the perfect time. And it's like a surfer, not that I am a surfer, but catching that perfect wave. So, you know, is the timing right? Are they busy? Do they have time to focus on it? Can they complete the deal? There you go.
And I
it's
think
like
it's something that they
you
said,
want to get someone shopping at the grocery store when they're hungry. Like that's when you make really hasty decisions. You
right.
buy 3 packs of Oreos and ice cream, and then you hate yourself after that. Um, not
No,
to,
what I like
yeah,
about Bruce's approach as well is the price point. Like you're putting these names in a point where at a price point where they're liquid, it can be bought impulsively, right? And it's a win-win. Like you're selling them, at a price where even if they don't do nothing with it, it's not a big deal. $800, $700, $1,000 is really affordable versus what most domainers do, which is they just want to hit a jackpot or a home run with every sale, and that's why they
And they
don't get
sit there and wait. See, I
right.
can't sit there. My business is not sitting there and waiting. It's being more productive and, being, going to them.
Yeah, you're working for your bags, Bruce. What about the research? I think Adam came out with some research or Name Pros or Name Bio that showed like very strong price insensitivity below $2,000. That like below that mark, you should just price it at $2,000 because people are more or less willing to pay that much for a domain regardless of their
For brandable
situation.
names, I agree 100%. For the kind of names I sell, there are a few for law that I know that I can price at that point, but for more real estate, they're not going to really go up that high unless it's a great name like Pasadena Real Estate, which is going to be in the 5 figures. There are names that are worth that kind of money, but a lot of the ones that I'm selling, even though they're great names, it could be like I've mentioned a few. Well, the Las Vegas one was also a high four-figure one, but the other ones are that I'm selling are between, like I said, 400 to $1,000, and I'd rather do that, sell it, get it off the table, move on to the next.
Yeah,
So
that
do you
makes
do
sense.
you do you see value in buying brandables? Is that part of your acquisition interest?
No, but I have. I bought the other day because I saw the name and it just looked very interesting. It was real estate with SY at the end, real estate C. So I said that's kind of interesting.
Right.
So, and it was a very, good price to buy it at. So I bought it and I figured, let's see what happens. And when I have it on Afternic and it's getting a lot of page views on that. So, those, I don't use Atom. I have never, well, I tried them a long time ago with the white label. Great place, but that's not the place for my kind of names. And the only reason I have them on Afternic, very few sales that I've ever had, they've gone directly to the name. It's more of me going out, reaching out to the client, and then they're coming in to buy it that after.
This is a question I always
If
wanted
you
to ask you, Bruce. When you're outbounding a name, do you have a price listed on it? Or is it request lander, request price and lander? Like if you have a name that you've put aside the night before, move the bin pricing on it, or what do you do?
But what I'll do, I'll always have the bin price higher at
What's your
Afternic than what I'm going to be marketing it for.
provide idea of a great discount?
Well, for two reasons. Because I want them to say, well, the price is higher than you have in your email. Then I can send them a link to buy that, and then I'm only charged 5%.
Yeah, that was going to be my question is, if you're outbounding these domains, why have them at Afternic at all? You're like
Well,
potentially losing margin there.
that's a great question because, and I've said this many times, most of my sales, I will transfer the name to the client before they pay, and then they'll pay me through Zelle or Venmo. So I'll transfer them the name, and then
Mhm.
they'll pay me. I
I
have them just write
trust.
me an email. Immediately upon accepting the domain in my account, I will pay you $700 to your Zelle account.
Is the 5% self-brokerage fee really not worth the security and peace of mind of not getting screwed?
No, it's no. Let me tell you why. Because
You've never had someone renege on a transfer?
I've said this story 1,000 times. One time in 2017, a lawyer in Long Beach, and he even said beforehand, he goes, "Well, what happens if I don't pay you?" I said, "You will." Uh, and sure enough, after I transferred the
That's some
name,
mob
Well,
boss
that's a
stuff,
psycho.
Bruce.
He's
I
a
right,
love that. You
sociopath, bro.
will.
and
Oh,
after
you will.
He's a sociopath.
right, after I had in his account, and he says he sent him the invoice, and he goes, "I'm not going to pay you." I'm saying to myself, "You're going to." So then I sent a letter, an email to the State Bar of California, and I CC'd him. And 10 minutes later, I was paid. The bottom line with social media today, they don't want their reputation burnt over a domain name. They don't. Because if it got out that a realtor didn't pay me, their career is going to be tarnished.
Yeah.
With social media, it's easy to go out on Twitter or Facebook or wherever and just say this person decided they didn't want to pay for, how are they going to treat you as a client? But it's never happened to me. Never, not once in the 16 years.
Yeah. Well, it's a tight industry, so that makes sense. Speaking of, that Atom data I was talking about. Well, actually, do we want to close any other topics here while we're on the topic of outbounding?
I
Any,
wanted to
any other?
first, I mean, you could dive into what you want to dive into, but what I wanted to add as part of my observation of Bruce's approach that a lot of people might overlook is he's still acquiring a beautiful portfolio, but at the same time, he's mastered the art of cash flow with domain names, buying names at an affordable price point, selling them at an affordable price point. And the key here is he shows up every day, he's consistent, and that's why he's a successful domainer. And it's easier said than done. Like, are people willing to put in that type of work? Because domaining, for the most part, has been sold as a passive, income stream, right? And I think that the people that are able to call themselves profitable domainers make some type of sacrifice. They either go out there and spend a ton of money on great names that have that pool where people want to buy them and swarm on them like, shit on flies, right? Or they buy good names and know how to dispose of them at a good price point.
But it's also being disciplined. If you ever ask my wife, it's a lot of hours, a lot of hours. It's from waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to going to work until like 10 o'clock at night, and consistent. And we were just, out of town for 3 weeks, and where we were was 16 hours ahead of time. We're on the East Coast over here. So I was up at, I think, like 1:30 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning doing outbounding for an East Coast name, because I still wanted to be consistent even while I was gone. So, waking up at 2:30 in the morning to get out some email marketing, and again, it paid off. So I love what I do. The domain industry is the greatest industry in the world. You
Yeah.
have, and I always say this, you have 90,000 names every single day that expire. 90,000. And I can guarantee you, out of that 90,000, there's a couple 5-figure names in there, some 6-figure names. And there might even be that one 7-figure name that's just laying in there that if you research, you might be able to find it. But I'm finding the ones in my sweet spot.
Yeah. I will say, like, most domainers, I think, they think all of the work is encapsulated, like, once you register the domain. And you're just showing that, like, certainly a good chunk comes before you register it in doing the vetting and the research. And then a lot of it comes after the fact when you're actually outbounding, and putting in the work. So yeah, I think this is a really sobering lesson that, it's not just buying a dream. It's in trading, like they say, it's very easy to buy the dream. You have all this optimism and hope for the future. You think you're a genius. You haven't really, like, gathered a lot of information about what the market is going to tell you about that position, and it's way harder to sell the dream failing than it is to buy the dream itself. And
And you
I
have
think a
to,
lot of
again,
people in domating miss that.
yeah, there's so many domainers that say, oh, I got to do outbound, and I got to do outbound, and I got to do it. They never do it. They don't.
Let's talk about AI tools and how that might change. I mean,
Okay.
you're pretty attuned to marketing, like, what do you see the trends looking like in terms of being able to scale this
When
easily
we
and
go to
for
AI,
it to be much
I
more
think I want to
accessible?
defer that to Ish, because what he's doing right now with so many AI tools, building a site and the name and selling that. And I want to hear that from Ish, because that's what I want to start doing also, because that's brilliant. I haven't gotten to that point yet. So when it comes to AI, there's the master of AI right there.
No, I'm not. We're all learning AI collectively as a society. It's all
Right. But you've taken action to build something and sell it.
yeah. I mean, I'm now in a position where I can sell a name and even say, for $500 more, I'll make you a site, right? And people accept the offer. I did that with a name I sold in the past week. It was cryptomastermind.org. I built their site for them. They had a mastermind that there was a YouTube video for, and I was like, "You don't have a landing page for this," and they're like, "No, we don't." Well, let's create that, and let's use this video as proof that you've done this before. And I was able to put that together, and that helped them see the vision, and they bought the domain and the site.
How awesome is that? You're
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
you're creating not just the name, but you're creating a tool for them to use. And all of a
Right.
sudden you become, their guy if they ever want, another name down the road.
Possibly, but I think what's cool about AI is it's also like you use it because, like you said, you ask Chat GPT to help you create an email that you can send out to a prospect, right? I think it's also very powerful in terms of like researching your end users. Like I'll use AI and I'll ask it to create a table of potential buyers for a name. Let me know how much their revenues were, or dive in a little deeper. and it gives me great information that allows me to know how to price a name. I have a customized GPT that I've built where I just spit a domain name and it gives me comparable sales and a suggested selling price. It's not always accurate, but it's helpful. It's like talking to a friend, you know what I mean, without bothering a real human. And I think it's only going to get better. Like you can talk to it, you don't have to type. You can, outside of AI, there are a lot of other tools that, obviously a savvy domainer will use. Like I like .db, tells me,
I love that site.
yeah, if the name is taken in other CLDs and things like that. Or, I can see potential buyers that have a variation of a name so that I can see what the name would be an upsell to, right? But AI is really, really going to provide a new realm for domainers because in everyone's portfolio, there's a name that can change your life, if you build it out. And I know you ventured into that. Like you have Mr. Baseball. What was that on your hat?
MrBaseball.com.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. You're always trying new stuff. You know what I mean? Like you have to build out some of these sites and AI is going to make that work much easier.
That's going to be most of that site's going to be with AI.
Yeah, you can make a site. I can make a site while we're talking and I'll share with you guys in 1 minute. You just tell me what it's as simple as talking to it. Like
Well, you could have AI even analyze a domain name for you, but should I
correct,
buy this name or should I buy this name?
correct.
Tell me about the realtors in this area. They will give you all the stats. They will tell you which one to do.
So we built a prototype internally at Unstoppable where we used AI tools that would help collate leads for a domain and then craft an email, look at some SEMrush stats and incorporate that into the email. And we actually got our first sale from that process a couple of weeks ago with Domain Gaffer, who was on this live stream 2 weeks ago. We sold randoms.org for him to the owner of random.org. Very simple lookup that anyone could have done, but we automated that with AI. This basically foreshadows like a much more liquid market for these kinds of domains because and Bruce, you can probably attest to this, like awareness is just the hardest thing. People don't care about domains. They don't know how important it is for their business. And you just have to like be a bug in their ear. And it sounds easy, but when you do it at scale, like it gets really, really cumbersome.
That's why
And
outbound
I
is so
think we're
important.
yeah, I think we're entering an era where like now we can automate a lot of that grunt work and you have like this much longer tail of domains that are very specific for a particular business out there somewhere with a weird acronym and a weird keyword combination that no domainer would ever risk buying before because they couldn't find the right buyer. But now that grunt work is automated, we're like the economics becomes much more viable for that long tail of domains.
Well, with
And I think
AI
we're going to
search
see.
now, you're going to see the exact match name. That's going to be coming back big right now. I think those names are going to sell like crazy. I've sold those for the last 16 years, and I love the exact match names. I just love them because, and now with AI, they're going to be giving you results with exact match names. That's how it's going to, in my opinion, that's how it's going to be. You're going to see a big comeback for that.
Yeah, because the search experience is evolving. People can search, with AI now. Less people are using Google. There's Siri, there's voice search, there's all type
Yep,
of stuff.
that's it. It's a lot. I mean, Google's still the number one, but a lot
For
of people
sure.
are using Siri for questions and answers. When I was on vacation, I asked Siri questions all the time.
Alexa,
Yeah,
Got a
what
lot
is
better
nice,
recently.
ladies?
Google Assistant has really been ahead of the curve. That's I can't use an iPhone just because Google Assistant is so useful. I
Oh,
like
stop making excuses. Get an iPhone, man. Don't be a weirdo.
no, dude. I will
You're
never use
just
an
being
iPhone.
rebellious.
I do not get spam ever. The
Neither
camera's
do we,
good,
man.
dude.
did you get
Spam is
You
spam?
so bad on
want any
an iPhone,
smart on iPhone. I'm not letting no Android guy do that, okay?
dude.
You're
Not
the
my
one that
fault. You're a
did, not
grandma
us.
that doesn't know how to use
Oh,
a
is that
real
why our
phone.
chat turned
All
up
right,
green?
Yeah, it's kind of like, what are we in
I
2022?
knew it wasn't you.
you
No,
guys are like high school girls, dude. Like, oh my god, your chat is green. Come on, get a
unacceptable.
grip.
It's easier when
Bruce,
it's
you're never
blue.
coming back
So
on.
the
Banned from
iMessage
the live stream.
I'm coming back on.
We would
They
love
don't
to
want
have
the
you back
blue to
on.
come back on.
On
You're
Android?
you're a gold mine. You're a
How do you
gold
work
mine.
that thing?
I'm a Mac guy. I love Macs, but iPhones are like grandma phones. I can't do it.
Ah,
Yeah.
he's going deep
They're
with this
just
one.
they're dumbed down. They're dumbed down. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. Well, guys, so last thought on AI tools. Ish, do you think hosting a little demo site on a domain that you're outbounding helps for the buyer to visualize the value of that domain, or like, having
Absolutely.
a logo, things like that?
Absolutely. It goes back to how you perceive the value of a domain name. And I think that a lot of us get lost in the sauce of trying to flip a name. And the real value of a name is it's supposed to make someone money, right? Whether it's who you're selling it to or you, right? So in the old days or in the recent past, a lot of domainers will buy names and they didn't need to outbound them. They could just cash park them and they made money from the traffic, right? The value of a name is in how much traffic it commands on the internet. That's it, right? Putting the little things in place to extract that value is accelerated, or AI becomes a catalyst for that. Right. So if you have a good name, an exact match domain name, you know that it gets a lot of monthly search volume, you know there's a cost per click, right? You're somewhat underselling it when you sell it for a certain amount of money. It's okay to do that for some of them, but you can extract some of that value for yourself now because of AI. We're seeing a trend where people are now building games. I built a game the other day while I was making my coffee. In 10 minutes, type in test.fun. And someone said, "Oh, you stole this from someone else." I was like, "Okay, you know what? I'll revise it. I'll make it a sailboat instead of a car." You know what I mean? So it's so cool. And the truth is, if when you really look at what the possibility of that is, like if I ask you guys, how much do you think type and test stuff fun is worth? You're gonna be like, oh, $2, $10, $20, $200. But I can turn that into something that makes $200 a day if I stick with it, right? I went to a meetup last week in LA for Flipper, and someone sold typeintest.com for $2.5 million because it
Is that where you got
earns
the idea from?
exactly because it earns $500,000 a year, right? So these domains can be built out, and in the past you needed that developer, that freelancer that would just extort you. Now you have more control. You can at least build some minimal viable product, a working product that can actually start earning you some money from the traffic. Google AdSense, Mediavine, Zoic, or whatever. You can do affiliate marketing, you can sell your own products. It's very empowering. And I think
So let
that
me
people
ask you a question.
embrace that.
After you heard about that sale, did you like get in your car and start trying to develop it on your drive home, or did you have to wait till you got home to start
No, you
doing
know what's funny?
Vibe
It's
code and drive, guys. That's terrible advice.
Yeah. So what happened was I saw that and I looked up the site and I was like, this site makes $500,000 a year, right? And someone bought this for 2.5 million, and the guy who sold it was in Finland. It inspired me. So it was in my subconscious. And then I woke up and I saw someone make a domain with bolt.new that was very similar to that. And I was like, shit, thanks for the inspiration. I'm gonna create something like this right away. I literally took a screenshot and told bolt.new, create a different version of this, but I want you to add an audience, I want you to add 25 levels, and it built it,
How long did
right?
it take you to build it?
10 minutes. Pull it up. You can take a look at it. Type in test.com.fun. To me, that's empowering because I've sold a site like that for
Are you getting
$4,000.
visitors? Are you getting visitors on a daily basis?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't tracked that, but I know what it takes to get visitors to a site. If I say whoever gets to level 25, right, and sends me a screenshot, gets entered to win $100, thousands of people will go play that game, right? I can do that organically. You just have to come up with a marketing plan. But it's a good. This is something that I can see, kids playing with. You got to scroll down, like click start selling, right? So you have to type those words, and it calculates your typing speed, per minute. You're pretty good,
It was awful. Oh no.
right?
Oh,
There you go. Now you're level
wow.
two.
We're just gonna do
But
this
this
for the
this
rest
is
of the
addicting.
It is addicting. That's the point. But the point is, I can get traffic. Now I can slap an ad on there.
And you get people on the site that will stay there for, 30
They'll
minutes.
come back all the time.
Yeah.
You put a
Yeah.
leaderboard. So these are the type of things that, and this is built in a .fun, right? So, I mean, you can look at the actual original site, type in test.com that, and you can get the idea of where I'm coming from. But that's
Awesome.
that's what I'm excited about, the opportunity to be able to build assets like this. This makes $500,000 a year. Someone bought this for 2.5 million.
Well, I see why
So
they
they
got ads
monetize this with the
everywhere.
ads.
They have a
The
lot of
ads,
advertising on there.
they're getting so
Yeah.
much traffic that those ads add up.
Yeah. That's
They're making about
remarkable.
1,500. They're making, a decent amount of money from ads. They probably have some other monetization strategies on there.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Well, I'm sure SEO is a big deal too, and you can programmatically generate a lot of SEO content as well.
correct.
Have you guys experimented with that, or do you know people that have processes there to drive traffic to their domains that
So
they're developing?
SEO takes time, and SEO does work, but there are
And
people that are
AI can automate a ton of it. I
correct.
see like a new startup on Twitter every other day saying that they can automate our SEO.
Yeah, the content, of course. And then you can also use influencers on TikTok or elsewhere. You can create competitions. You can do all type of stuff. There's a gentleman called Levels.io who built a flying game that now generates $1 million annually. And he just built it like 2 months ago. His annual recurring revenue is about $1 million. He's doing about 83,000 or 80, was it $93,000 a month in
Well,
revenue
I,
from
I bet I bet that'll all follow. I bet the renewal rate on that is like 0. But still, he like printed $100,000 by vibe coding this flying simulator.
this game, right?
Props to him.
There's also the story of CalAI.app. I mean, how horrible of a name is that, right? It's a calories app that was built by this kids in high school. And you take a picture of your food and it tells you how many calories are on there.
By a picture.
By a picture, yeah. I mean, you could do that on ChatGPT is a beautiful thing. But they've created a different, more usable version of that.
Right.
So it's called a
So
ChatGPT.
in this new era of when the difficulty of building the product goes to 0 because you can vibe code it, then distribution is much more important, and that's where domains can help. And so if you're sitting on a domain and it all you need to do is like you don't need to hire a dev team anymore, but you just need to vibe code some things, or even just like you can hire people, but they'll be like 2 times as effective as they were a couple of years ago with all these tools. Then ChatGPT wrappers are now making millions of dollars every year, and so a good domain is an excellent jumping off point for that. But anyway, I mean, we could talk about outbounding and this stuff all day, and this has been really juicy stuff. But I want to get to 2 other segments we wanted to talk about today. So, but first off, guys in the chat, if you want your portfolio to be analyzed and or roasted
Portfolio,
by
let's do some names. Let's do their best 3 names.
a couple of names.
If you want your portfolio to be analyzed, $200 to Bruce and I to get a shot. What happened? I think we lost Brady. Okay, it'll probably come back. But no, I think we could do that. We can analyze
Give us
some.
like 2 or 3 names. There you
Yeah,
I'm
go.
back.
yeah,
Brady, give
yeah.
us 2 or 3 names.
We're not going to do your portfolio. That will be a different service. I'm happy to review your portfolio for you, but it's going to be a certain price point. DM me for inquiries.
Have you taken the portfolio, put it in a
Exactly.
chat
Yeah.
sheet?
So
That's not going to give you an accurate
we
Right.
value.
need portfolioanalyzer.fun. We need
That's
spin that up for us, Ish. Yeah, so guys, put that in the chat and we will take a look and give you some feedback on the names. And while we wait for you guys to do that, let's go through some of the news from the past couple of weeks. So it's been 2 weeks since we last had a live stream. I was out last week because I was at ICANN in Seattle. That was a great time. Got to hang out with all the folks there. GoDaddy and Identity Digital are both based in Seattle, so there was quite a good presence there. One important takeaway from that meeting, and I saw this article by Kevin at Domain Insight recently, is that ICANN voted to kill off the 60-day transfer lock, and they're going to replace it with a 30-day transfer lock. And so this is like been a long time coming. I know there's been a ton of pushback against this.
And when
Um,
does that
and
start?
my next sentence was going to be, don't hold your breath, because it should take about 18 months, I understand, before the changes go live. So everything moving at the speed of ICANN is excruciating. But I mean, let's talk about like how this changes the game theory here and the economics of transferring. Bruce, I'm sure with your quick turnaround times that you have a horrible time with transfer locks. I mean, so walk through like if this 60-day lock were to go away, like how that would affect your hustle.
Yeah, for me, it's the only time it will really ever affect me is, of course, and I won't market the name yet, is if I have a name at Network Solutions, because that's just virtually impossible. But the other registrars that I deal with, if I have a name that's for sale, I'll just tell them you need to open up an account at this place, and
Hmm.
if you want to move it to another, if you have a GoDaddy and you're set on GoDaddy, you can move it there in 60 days. Never had a problem.
Yeah. And I'm looking at one of your tweets here where you you sold a name about an hour and a half after registering it. And that is just insane. But yeah, like I suppose a lot of people are fine to push domains. And yeah, so you can work around it. So that's good to hear. It's never been a problem.
Yeah, that name was that GoDaddy, so that was never an issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. But just in terms of like friction in the domain ecosystem, the 60-day transfer lock is an enormous problem. I'm sure this, as with like a lot of laws and like, regulatory apparatus, the laws are made without an expiration date, and they're made, I'm sure the 60-day transfer lock rule was made a decade ago and hasn't budged despite, fraud detection and chargebacks with credit cards happening at much lower rates now. And the surrounding tooling to detect fraud being a lot better, but the rule remains extremely conservative despite the times changing from the initial conditions where they actually made the rule. So I think this is a huge boon for people, to be able to just have a much more liquid market. And this is something we're looking at Unstoppable. Like we think I mean, this is one tiny example of the friction involved in trading domains. Another would be like transfer fees. Like just moving between registers requires that you buy a year. That's an enormous amount of money that gets spent just by moving
I
back
had
and
an
forth between
example with that.
registrars.
I had a scenario this morning where I woke up and I decided I wanted to add about three-letter AIs to my portfolio. So I got into an agreement with someone to purchase FGE.ai. They're on Dynadot. I have one domain on Dynadot, and I usually put most of my domains on GoDaddy. You know, he created a checkout link, and the GoDaddy checkout link included a $260 transfer fee. And I was like, I'm not paying that. So the way I worked around that was I could just push it to my Dynadot account, and it's in my Dynadot account without. So it's like you have to really be very careful because those fees, they're honestly like traps that you can work around, but most people aren't aware of that, and it
Was it
becomes
a
a hand.
different extension?
It was .ai, FGE.ai, but I have possession of the name now, and it's in my Dynadot account. But
Yeah.
if I wanted to move it over to GoDaddy, it's going to be an issue. You know what I mean?
Unless you move it over there when it's ready to expire.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing, Adam Mason had a tweet about this week, but Afternic does not promote your domains on the network during that transfer lock, because they can't deliver it to the customer. So they don't push your listing out to their, hundreds of partners on the Afternic network during that period, which means you're not getting the value of, listing your domains there during that period. And I understand like places like Dan would actually work around that, and they would have like an escrow
Authorization
account.
system.
Yeah, so they would still sell it to the end user and then hold it during that transfer period. So they could collect the money, and then the buyer could be assured that the domain was going to be delivered to them. But this is just an enormous point of friction. One interesting speculative way that Unstoppable and bring domains on chain can fix this is when a domain comes on chain at Unstoppable, you transfer in a .com or whatever, and we mint an NFT twin for that domain. And for the most part, the twin and the token and the domain follow each other around. So if one user buys it, they get both. But there could be a world in which case in which you actually buy the token, but you don't actually push or transfer the underlying domain. And so this could mean that you can trade it instantly. You don't actually share auth codes, and then you can treat the token like an option on the domain. So you can still lock the other domain so that no one can use it. They can't host a website. They can't do anything with it, the old registrant. But the new owner of the token has the option to redeem and transfer the domain to them at any point in time. And this is speculative. I'm not sure we'll actually do this, but basically you have an option on a domain without trading the underlying, meaning that you can trade it instantly, on chain, even between registrars, and you don't have to deal with all this friction. And then once, the option, finds its way to an end user that actually wants to use the domain, not between domainers, then they can actually redeem the token for the underlying domain. So anyway, that's just one example of some, financial alchemy that we can introduce by bringing domains on chain that, could circumvent a lot of this friction that's been building up here. Anyway, Bruce,
But you
any
got the
thoughts?
biggest news of the week that we didn't talk about yet.
That's right. Afternic self-brokerage launch, or GoDaddy, I should say. And so people are mixed reception from what I can tell. People are both ecstatic. I saw Nicole Hypernames has already gotten his first sale there. He was lauding the ability to just get back to people quickly and really take matters into his own hands. So I think people like that. People are less excited that they're still paying the normal commission rates despite doing all the work to actually broker their names. So what are your guys' thoughts?
Same thoughts. I've I don't have that many names over there that are names that people are going there to negotiate. They're mostly the names I have over there are my outbounding names. So I'm paying 20% for if I do it through there and I don't come and I don't send them the name first and they pay me through Zelle or Venmo. But I do have names over there and the higher end names that I've had so many stalls and confused, and it just doesn't work for me. If I have a lead come in, I want to be able to get in contact with them and be able to follow up with them. My timing is not what their timing's like. I sold a name the other day and I had the transfer code in there. I'm not bashing them. I don't want this to be a bash session for Afternic, but I had the transfer code in there 10 minutes after I sold it. And they have not initiated the transfer process. The name was at NameBright, and I haven't got the confirm or anything at NameBright to approve the transfer. So it's these small things. Afternic needs to not just put in a self-brokerage thing. There's a lot of things that Dan was perfect. I love Dan. It was just so good. They just took it away from us. But if they brought that back on the Afternic platform, that'd be the best thing they could.
Yeah, I
Personally, I
understand.
think
Go ahead.
it's innovative in the sense that it's better than what they had, right? I'm also a victim of a lot of stalled and confused leads, and I think it's a step towards more transparency in its initial rollout. Hopefully, it improves. As far as like people's feedback on, yeah, it's expensive. I don't want to pay 240 a year. I understand that. I just think that I've done the math, and for me, that is a great service because I save that much in just renewing a couple of names. Like renewing one.com will cost me $21 versus the $11 that I'm paying, right? So, add that over 2,900 names that I have, which I think 95% of them are .com. It's a significant saving, right? So for me, there's value there. And now that they're adding the self-brokerage as part of those perks, it sort of forces me to see, it makes me happy that I'm getting more value for being a domain discount club member. But most of the complaints I've seen are from people that are just simply complaining like there are other options. Cito doesn't charge you a domain discount club. They charge 15% and, they pay you just the same way. There are other options. I just urge people to explore them.
But I'm sure you feel the same way I do, that I can sell my name better than somebody else can
Absolutely. That's why I love the self-brokerage.
because it's my name.
Yeah, I actually played with it and I think it's awesome. I don't know why we don't get the names and phone number and all this stuff, but I don't know anyone else who's going to give you that data. If there is, I'd love to know who they are. But I think there are data privacy laws around that.
Well, they just can't give you the number because then you transact off platform.
That's
They need
true,
to,
right? So
yeah,
people have to manage their expectations.
yeah. I think they do give you location, location data. So
Location, time zone, yeah.
yeah, so that's some advantage. But yeah, and Nicole here says, he wished they had the buyer's name so he could get a better sense of who the guy is. But yeah,
What are they giving you because I have not, are they giving you any information about the person?
They create a username for them. Dan used to give you the first name.
So you can't even address them by their first name.
Yeah, it's just user 44 star 9 or some shit like that.
Yeah, that to me doesn't do it for me because I want to be able to.
I think that they're going to improve that with time. Because Dan did it. And does Cito give you a name? I don't think they give you a name either. So yeah, you see the buyer ID up there,
yeah,
10 star 9, tells you their time zone, and that's it.
And that's how
yeah,
you communicate with
in
them.
country.
Yeah, you communicate with them through a chat, right? It's pretty fast. So I did a trial with UFO.xyz, and like you get an instant message. And they also have to create a GoDaddy account to be able to make an offer, which has its pros and cons, less bots, more people.
Right.
Yeah. Standard commission rates apply. People still want more info, name and IP address. Yeah.
They're not going to give
Anyway,
that up.
yeah, it's tough. Well, at least you won't suffer from this anymore, ish.
You
Where
got to
the
leave. Start negotiations immediately. I think they do that to me on purpose.
That's great.
someone's pulling the strings just to fuck with us up there.
Yeah, I started saying nice things about GoDaddy so that hopefully I can get some sales.
Yeah. Somebody needs to build a platform that you can get all the information, address them, be able to see, because when I sell a name, I want to have the ability to, if I find another name down the road, to be able to sell that name, because a
Well,
lot
then the
I
platform
sold a
doesn't make
name,
any money.
a while back, and they still do not have the name pointed to their site.
Platform wants to be able to make money off the sale.
It's still on the Afternic landing page.
Mm.
Hey, Brady, what are you guys doing in what you're building out that caters to all these feedback that you're getting from people?
Well, Ish, I'm glad you asked. Because Unstoppable has had self-brokerage for several months at this point. And we only charge 3% commissions, which is just to cover the transaction fees, basically, from Stripe. So, yeah, I mean, every domain that you list for sale, you're allowed to offer this email the seller button. And this basically just opens up a Gmail window, or what the client is, to talk to the owner directly. So, this was stood up pretty quickly. We don't like scrub the chat if you're trading contact information. You are welcome to, you know, basically own that conversation fully end to end and self broker for only 3%. So it's
And you have
for
their name
people.
and everything?
Well, we don't have much, but when you email them, you can ask for whatever information that you like. But coming soon, we'll be able to like basically provide more of that lead information. But again, because you're conversing directly with this person over this anonymized email alias, there's nothing holding you back from getting that information once you get into them. I know that's clunky, but this this is V0 of this feature. So we know that people want a little bit more information going forward. But anyway, so you can do this today with Unstoppable. So if you're looking for an alternative and you think, the standard commission rates at Afternic are far too steep if you're doing all the work of actually brokering the name, then try out Unstoppable, and come get self-brokerage for 3%.
And this is what your landing page looks like.
These are similar to Atom. We have our listing pages inside the marketplace. When you're navigating and you click around, this is what you're shown. And we also use this for your lander. And we've gotten some feedback that this is a little bit busy and that it should be, slightly more consolidated. We've got like SEMrush keywords down here, and some other AI generated content here. You can customize the photo that's shown on each of the listings. You can also see the seller's other domains for sale at their storefront, and then also views and watch lists. So yeah,
You
we've got an
collect the
item
money.
to like slim these down and make them a little bit more, simple landers, which I understand, helps with conversions. But for now, this is what we have.
Okay. And then you collect the money?
Yep. We accept all these payment methods down here. So card, and PayPal, self-custody, crypto, Coinbase Pay. So we have a bunch of different payment options, and then you can cash out via ACH. So not all of this happens in crypto, as in you don't need to have like crypto experience or to hold crypto to be able to transact on the platform. We support all the standard payment options.
Okay. Well, we need to talk.
Well, I'm happy to talk anytime. Yeah, it's hard to beat 3%. I know Adam Masonet was also saying that he uses, self-brokerage landers just to get more control over the sale. So that's what we're here to do. We're not here to like nickel and dime you. We're trying to just give domainers a better experience and get domains on chain where we can offer some really novel stuff. And so all that means is that we can disintermediate ourselves and give you, the domainers, more control in the meantime.
And can you tell me, Brady, what are your transfer fees?
So right now we do $5.50 off all transfers, which means that .coms are $5.50 to transfer in. Let me go to the pricing page and I'll show you the rest of the pricing. We do at cost pricing. That means whatever the registries charge us, we charge you. This this site also doesn't show the discounts that we're running right now, but you can see that this is .coms are 1105 across the board, plus the automatic 550 discount, or it's actually 650 discount, brings it to $5.50 to transfer in. Or today you can register at .com for $5 every Friday. So yeah, we've got similar to Cloudflare. We just do at cost for our register services. We don't make a dime on any of these registrations or renewals. Our goal is to get domains on chain.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's all for news. Anything else you guys wanted to chat about there? If not, we can go to reviewing
Let's
some of
review
these
some
domains.
domains.
Let's do it. Let's do a rapid fire here.
Rapid fire. That's a name from
We've
the
got
past.
some.
We
We've
call
got.
it cash and trash.
Yeah. What did you guys think of usdeliveries.com? The one I just showed you.
I like that name.
Yeah.
I can see that. Sounds official. Sounds like a delivery service.
Yeah, the trucking
Well, that's-
company.
Yeah, a trucking company, logistics related. Yeah, definitely.
Is that your name?
Yeah, it's a good name.
No, that's it's Unstoppable. It's from GoDaddy Go, who's a longtime customer of ours.
I like the name.
Yeah, it's a good name. I don't think people would type in US deliveries very frequently. It just doesn't seem like a keyword string that people would type in, but certainly sounds official. It's got that vibe to it.
Throw some geos this way.
What's that?
Any geo names that people want to get?
Yeah,
Yeah,
technically, U.S. Deliveries is a geo,
I
right?
guess so.
Automotivecalifornia.com is another one by the same owner.
I like California beforehand, but who's your end user for that?
Yeah.
Used car dealership. Yeah, I don't care for that one.
Automotive is pretty long, not the word that
Yeah,
people
and
use.
it's prone to be misspelled. Also, the syntax isn't really flow. California Automotive is obviously 10,000 times better. Automotive California, it's just not it. It doesn't really do it for me. But you
Yeah.
could price it to sell for,
It's not a Bruce kind of name.
yeah.
Yeah. What about fairattorney.com?
Did you say
Fair
attorney?
fairattorney.com. Are there unfair attorneys? I mean, I'm trying to think who you know, I'm trying to think what attorney would want to use that as a domain name. I'm a fair attorney.
Yeah, right. If you have to say that, it raises
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
We should just assume that you're
Run.
a fair attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, financesonchain.com. I
Finances
don't love the
on-chain.
plural.
I hate it. I don't like it. So,
On-chain is also like usually the leading descriptor too. It makes
no,
more
it's
sense to
it's
come
the thing
before.
about finances on chain is it's sort of like a oxymoron, right? It's like, okay, is there a company that's going to be called Finances on Chain.com? I doubt that.
I think especially in crypto, people have more sensitivity to vibes and like sounding cool. Like tech companies generally they're pretty sensitive
Brandable.
about branding. And they,
Yeah,
they like brandables. They like, a really incisive term that they can use.
sure.
So onchain.nz, New Zealand country code here.
That could be something. Depending on what I think I know who owns that. He lives in New Zealand, so that's good. That could be an online community of people that are into the,
I like that name.
yeah.
The one
It's
above that, I'm not understanding.
Afrofusion.dream. This is also an on-chain domain. This is an unstoppable Web3 domain. So a little harder to vet those. Let's see what else we got.
Afrofusion.dream is worth $1.
Yeah. Table stakes with a .es domain hack.
Yeah, that's a domain hack. It could work. ES is usually for Spain, but I see what he's doing there. Shout out Harrison. That's a domain hack. There's an interesting growing group of end users for that see value in those type of names. So yeah. I
I do
just
Yeah.
don't
like
know
a criminal justice lawyer at the bottom.
which one?
Criminal justice
Criminaljusticelawyers.com. Oh,
lawyer.
that's a great name.
Yeah, I see a lot of the geos where the niche is in front of the city. Some of them can be good, but I love the city name first. Optometrist Vancouver. I would love that too, Vancouver optometrist. But
Explorer
I'm just going
Alexandria
through this
works
list.
pretty well
Explore. I love that one. Love that
because
one.
the,
Love
the, the
Explore
verb
names.
makes
But I
makes
love
makes
this
a lot of
criminal
sense.
justice lawyer.
Usegen.com. I don't. It's nice and short, but
It's a good
Usegen.
brandable. I can see that being for some AI, generative AI application,
Yeah,
but it's a brandable. Names like that are almost impossible to outbound. So it's kind of like a sit and wait.
yeah. Also, tech companies also use get blank, like getcruise.com was
Right,
my
exactly.
old
Use
company's name.
unstoppable.
Use unstoppable.com, something like that.
Right, right.
So it's also got that angle if someone
Join. Right.
names themselves Jen but doesn't have the
Yeah.
.com.
They add a verb to it, some type of action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Venice Plumber.
Up
Nice
top,
name.
Venice Plumber. Yeah, not too bad. This domain hack reminds me of someone. I forget. I think Tony Names added someone the other day about .horse domains, and this guy owns cart.horse, which I absolutely love. It's probably not worth very much, but I just love the like how hilarious that name is. Such a hack. So beautiful. Let's see what else we got. Let me find. We've got 3 different
What do you think about criminal justice
chats going
lawyer?
on.
I like that one. I would like it a lot.
Good one.
Freeware AI.
Decent name. So sit and wait.
I don't know what
Unless they've done some
freeware is,
research. Yeah,
but
there might be a company out there that has a variation of that. I wouldn't I wouldn't just blindly register that. But it's worth holding on to that name for a year or two and seeing what happens.
yeah.
But you have to
And
price it yourself.
freeware is a term that is used. I'm sure there's some company that calls itself freeware.
I would just put AI next to it with a space and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
Can't
We
see
got
the
to try
string.
again. Yeah. tonqr.com, loanqualifier.com. That's a good name.
It's okay.
I like that name. I mean, that could be like that could be an app.
That's actually true. It's definitely a good name. It's okay. I wouldn't, it depends on how much you want to price it for. But it's definitely a good name. Good pickup.
Yeah. createaigames.com.
That's a good one. Trending. It could be,
Ish wants to know a price if you want to put a price in there.
yeah, I think people should put prices on these names so you can get feedback on
Afro
your
hip hop. Ellie.
Afro hip hop. Interesting. Interesting. It's definitely, there's something there. There's Afro hip hop. There's hip hop in every part of the world. It could be a record label. It could be a blog. But names like that is very difficult to find end users for. But if you build something
You
with
know
it,
what? There's an end user out there for that name. I guarantee it.
for sure, for sure. But I think names like that, the odds of selling a name like that increase tremendously if you build some sort of MVP.
Yeah.
Hey, get rent now.
I really like createaigames.com. It should be a DM 2990.
I knew you'd like that one.
No, I like it. I think
They
it's
didn't target you on that one, did they?
a lot of people have an interest in learning how to make AI games. You could definitely create a hackathon. You could review games. I like descriptive names like that are relevant.
Yeah. What about OmniChain with a .in hack? I like that.
I don't.
I mean, do you guys see domain hacks like selling well? I think it takes a particular segment. Like tech guys are going to be much more open to
Yeah, I
these
mean,
kind of
every now
creative
and then I
names.
see a sale for one of those, but not those aren't the kind of names I sell. I don't know about you, Ish.
There's a huge difference between omnichain.com and omnicha.in. I'd rather go for the .com or even the ..
Yeah. Let's see. AI. These are kind of bad. Waves and Woods. AIcoinbot.com. Let's see. We got anything else in the Riverside chat? Yeah, we got over those. Well, I think we've gone
People
through
love
most of
getting
them.
reviews. What do you think about smartoutbounding.com?
Yeah. Oh, we got a bunch more over here. Let's see.
Found more?
Oldout.com. That's an
What?
odd combo.
So like old outbounder for short.
I don't know.
Wait. Connecticut Family Lawyer.
OLD
I love Connecticut Family Lawyer. Well, no, I love Connecticut Family Law.
Yeah.
family lawyer.
I never did well with family lawyer names. I've done your family law, yes.
Well, it might be your longest .com domain realties, but it's still a decent one. Good keywords there.
Penthouse
HollywoodResorts.com.
Miami is a good one. S. Larry, that's a good one. Penthouse Miami, pretty descriptive. Could be a restaurant, could be I can see that as some sort of event space or whatever. I would hold on to that and wait.
Keyword names selling well depends on what state and what keyword. I've
What
sold
about
a couple
Hollywood
states
Resorts?
like that one.
Are there a lot of resorts in Hollywood?
Well, there's two Hollywoods. Remember, there's one in Florida.
Are there a lot of resorts in Hollywood again? But it's a good
And
name.
the Hollywood Hills.
I don't think
Yeah.
they have too many resorts in the Hollywood Hills. That's a myth. But hey,
But Hollywood,
there's a
Florida.
brand in itself. It's not a bad name. It's not a bad
Yeah.
name.
People like
Yeah,
their
I think
they
people
like
putting
their
price in will
location.
help. I think people putting price in will help so they can get feedback. Like every name has some sort of value from $1 to millions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, next time put your prices. Placard.org is interesting. It's it's a rare word, but it has a vibe to it.
I like
Yeah,
Penthouse Miami.
that's a really good
Yeah.
one.
That's a real good one.
I still own
Whoever's selling that has
Miami.coop.
money, or whoever's buying that.
HomeInspectorFranchise.com. I don't know.
Yeah.
Descriptive though, but
GLV.ai, 3-letter AI here. That's solid.
Weren't you looking for that this morning?
yeah, the GLV. I don't know. I don't know what it
Go Las
means.
Vegas.
Go Las Vegas.ai. Okay, great.
Girls Las Vegas.
Greater Las Vegas.ai. I don't know. GLV.ai. If you can find a meaning for it, I know that the V reduces the value, but yeah, who knows? AI will spit out some sort of use case for it. I like the one that I bought today, which is FGE.ai. I got it for a good price.
Yeah. Well, guys, we've been through a bunch of them here. I think that's plenty of value for folks. I appreciate you guys, giving some brutally honest feedback. I think a lot of domainers walk through their experience domaining and they don't actually get feedback very frequently because you're just buying and holding and waiting, someone to happen upon your domain. So you don't really get a lot of information unless you like see the views or inquiries on your domain, which is rare. So it's good that we can provide some feedback to people and, help them along in their journey and to be realistic. I'm sure you guys have seen a ton of horror stories about people just sort of bumbling through in their early days domaining and
We all
not,
have.
yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to pay tuition somehow. But Bruce, I think your style of domaining is pretty inspiring. It's very risk off. It's very hustle mindset, low, relatively low carrying costs. And you're very realistic. You're very pragmatic and you don't, buy into a dream or hype. And instead you take every domain very seriously, and follow it through or let it drop. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing a lot of your expertise. I'm sure it was really valuable for people to hear.
Well, thank you very much. I know there's going to be a lot more that we'll be talking about at the conference. I'll be there and look forward to anybody has any questions on outbounding. They can see me there or they know how to contact me on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's
Ish,
talking
when
about
is Domainer Expo?
right, the third Domainer Expo, May 21st and 22nd in Las Vegas. The best way to sign is just to join brandhacking.com. You get more value that way. You become part of an online community. You can join for as low as $40 a month. And, you become eligible for a pass at the conference. The conference is in 60 days. We had the last one in December. And later on in this year, there will be other conferences like NameCon and others in other parts of the world. So we wanted to do this one a little bit earlier. It's very difficult doing conferences in December. People are sort of like winding down for the year. And so I'm excited about doing it at this time of the year. Hopefully we get 100 plus people there and have a great time.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining for the live stream. Join us again next Friday. We'll have another new guest on. And Bruce, thanks for joining us. This is great.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Brady. And Ish.
Yeah. All right. Till next time, boys.
And get a name for your show.
Make domaining
Yeah, we'll have
sexy
one by
again.
next week. We'll have one by
Yeah.
next week. Otherwise,
Thanks,
I'll just
guys.
start calling this one.
Have a
See you
great one.
guys.